Here is Donald Trump asking reporters to please go down there and do the work, which incidentally, they've done. There have been many, many reports of people interviewing these people who are coming in this caravan. And why are you coming? Oh, because Honduras is overrun by criminals and it's extremely dangerous for my family and I can't make any money and I'm afraid for our lives. In fact, the whole reason why people are traveling in a caravan is not because they think that somehow, they're going to swing their 4-year-olds at the Americans when they get there and overrun the country.
They're going to use them as human shields,
right,
Sam.
Right. It's because they are afraid of traveling alone. It's because they don't have the money to pay for smugglers and are afraid of those people, and they think that there is strength in a larger group. And so Donald Trump is asking people to go down there and embed themselves in it. And let's listen to him as he gets off the plane.
There are terrorists part of this caravan. You know what you should do, John? Go into the middle of the caravan, take your cameras and search. Okay? Take your camera, go into the middle and search. You're going to find MS-13, you're going to find Middle Eastern, you're going to find everything. And guess what? We're not allowing them in our country. We want safety.
You're also going to find a lot of symbolic capital which is disengaged from the
But here you're going to find Middle Eastern, yes, he said that literally. Whatever that means. You're going to find Middle Eastern and MS-13 in the middle there. So, I mean, the idea is that somehow this caravan, they think these people from Honduras think it's in their best interest to hide Middle Eastern terrorists and or you have thousands of people traveling together because they're afraid for their lives and they're, I guess, supposedly protecting MS-13 in there.
What happens is that first MS-13 protects the people that are fleeing MS-13, and then MS-13 is scared, so they bring in Hamas to protect them, and then Al-Qaeda comes.
When does North Korea get involved?
Here is,
but not anymore because Trump negotiated it.
Here's a piece from the Times. Do you have this tweet, Matt? Will you send it to Matt? This is a clip from the New York Times, a piece they had written yesterday. And it is about the perspective that this triggers in the right-wing brain. And do you have it? It is a clip that reads, "But Mr. Trump's dystopian imagery." Mr. Trump's dystopian imagery has clearly left an impression with some. Carol Shields, 75, a Republican in northern Minnesota, said she was afraid that migrant gangs could take over people's summer lake homes in the state. "What's to stop them?" said Ms. Shields, a retired accountant. "We have a lot of people who live on lakes in the summer and winter someplace else. When they come back in the spring, their house could be occupied."
That's a great point.
I mean, so there are people who are susceptible to all sorts of imagery, and it's effective in some respects because there's a tremendous amount of ignorance out there, particularly amongst, white people who are living outside of areas where they have some type of interaction with people who are not exactly like them. Here is Mike Pence. He is being asked by Robert Costa on the Washington Post live show, I guess, about this caravan. And here is the lie that Mike Pence tries to push.
Just to finish on the midterms, you're going to be heading out on the campaign trail soon.
I am.
Immigration's become a major issue. The president keeps talking about this migrant caravan, and he references Middle Easterners that are part of this caravan without evidence. Why is that? And where is the evidence, if any?
Well, it's inconceivable that there are not people of Middle Eastern descent in a crowd of more than 7,000 people advancing toward our border. I mean, the truth is, well, let me the statistics.
Pause it for 1 second. Now, he wants to offer statistics. It is very conceivable that in a group of 7,000 people in Central America, and it's 4,000, I think, but let's just say 7,000 because he wants to double it, because apparently 4,000 is not scary enough for retired accountants living in a lake in Minnesota.
7,000 is enough to take over Texas.
7,000 you could take over Texas if you have enough 4-year-olds to swing around and use as human shields. But the idea that it's inconceivable that there's no Middle Eastern people in this caravan is actually pretty easy to conceive of.
Right.
And what would they do in this caravan? They're going to move freely through Mexico? They can move freely through Mexico anyways. But let's let him complete this lie, because Costas is like, what? Middle Eastern people? What is that supposed to mean?
I mean, the truth is, well, let me the statistics on this. I mean, in the last fiscal year, we apprehended more than 10 terrorists or suspected terrorists per day at our southern border, from countries that are referred to in the lexicon as other than Mexico. That means from the Middle East region. I mean, the idea that they would not be in this large throng that what the president of Honduras told me was organized by leftist groups in Honduras, financed by Venezuela, and sent north to challenge our sovereignty and challenge our border.
All right. The idea. What does that mean by challenge our sovereignty? Like the idea that somehow we're going to open. All right, we give up, but you should know that, and this is a pretty big story, and I don't blame people for not being worried about this. There were 10 a day, and you notice how the media doesn't report on this at all. And it's not like they didn't get a heads up, because back in February of this very year, Mike Pence said that the government was nabbing 7 terrorists or suspected terrorists a day on the southern border. It's obviously gone up. Now, what's very strange is that no one else has reported this. No one else from the U.S. government has reported this fact. It's just Mike Pence decided to drop this. Now, maybe that's why he was so pensive, no pun intended, when he was going to answer this question, because he was not sure if he should leak this obviously very top secret information that no one else has in our government.
Well, he doesn't want ISIS to know that he knows all
Right.
this.
Or like MS-13, we're like,
Scroll down, because he's getting, this is on the PolitiFact, and it's pants on fire level of, and the FBI's terrorist screening center, in a fact updated in January 2017, said that a known terrorist is an individual who's been arrested, charged, or convicted in the U.S. or abroad on a crime related to terrorist or terrorist-related activities, or a person identified as a terrorist pursuant to the National Security Council resolution. And scroll down. The FBI says that they haven't gotten anywhere near those numbers. There are no data for terrorists apprehended at the border, as far as anybody could tell.
And the thing from the president of Honduras, just, because these things do kind of run in kind, the president of Honduras represents a far-right party and has been plagued by corruption allegations.
Right.
Yes. And comes from the coffee, hotel, and media sectors.
And I wonder how Venezuela is getting this money. I mean, we've seen this, like Venezuela is getting this money.
Well, that's the funny thing, is that simultaneously Venezuela is totally broke, which they actually are, but then they have all this money. I mean, yeah, the money that Venezuela is still circulating comes from like smuggling drugs through the military, and I don't think they're using it to challenge U.S. sovereignty. They're using it to
No, they're using it for communism.
right, by which they mean buying houses abroad for when the thing collapses.
If you scroll down here even a little bit more, there was apparently in 2016 211 people apprehended from Chad, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen. And that's obviously not 7 terrorists a day. It's not even 7 people a day. It's
Well,
one person a
suspected
day.
terrorist is a pretty wide concept for a guy
Yeah.
like Mike Pence.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right. Like what Brendan just said. I mean, he could be including gay people, people who listen to music that is not, that is quote unquote ethnic at a loud volume.
But this is working. I mean, it's clearly working.
Well, you know what I said yesterday? They're returning to their core brand proposition
Of
2
course.
weeks before the midterm.
Right.
Of course it's working.
Well, and that's, in part because there doesn't seem to be like enough energy left in the tank as far as the national anthem.